Hello, let me explain to you a little bit about Supertanker. Firstly, my name is Ric Lawes. I've lived in Asia for some 14 years, and I'm presently deliberating on the production of a film of the name Supertanker. I've already written the screenplay. The screenplay is with my agent in San Francisco, and he has kindly suggested that if we wish to get the film happening, we need to create a book from the screenplay. The screenplay will act as the blueprint, and thus this will be the background on the story. So here's the basic story, and on a little bit of background to the story, I've created a lot of notes and research material from about 2001 on. I visited Malacca in Malaysia, which is where the Malacca Straits are, and that's where the supertankers go through round the base of Singapore, and they either head off towards India or they go the other side and they head off to Thailand. So this is actually a story which prompted my attention with the piracy in the Malacca Straits a long time before Somalia actually started doing the same thing. And it took quite some years to find all the research material I required, and finally I put pen to paper and I wrote the screenplay. My agent in San Francisco has said that the screenplay is excellent. What he would like me to do is to create the book first and do a published release, and then we do the film after the book publishing, which guarantees you higher sales at box office. That makes sense. So let me explain to you the story. In Asia, the Malacca Straits are a feared channel where pirates often strike at passing ships, but global trade depends on the passageway. Concerns are high for underwriters like Lloyd's of London, who insure companies sending ships through the Straits. And what I've done is created a number of characters. So here's some character names. The executive Huxley and Waltham, working under Sir James for Lloyd's of London, have made it a policy to insure supertankers, which carry more than the average ships but pay a premium to do so. Once such supertankers are scheduled to travel through the Malacca Straits filled with oil, we have a mercenary who I've called Jason, and he meets with an imam to discuss the situation. Jason's wife Om is in a wheelchair and he needs a payday to afford an operation that may see her walk again. The imam will provide all the details, and Jason and his team, including second in command Han, will board the ship at night and hold it for ransom. Because of the large oil supply, they expect to earn $40 million, and Jason and his crew will get a 20% cut. Jason agrees, and he gets to training with his men so they can board the supertanker by jumping off nearby limestone cliffs using gliders. Meanwhile, the Imam has put a secondary, more deadly plan in motion, bringing in a young terrorist named Mohammed to bully a local dock manager into loading a container in the deck of a supertanker. In the container is fertiliser and C4 detonators, along with 3 suicide terrorists hiding within in wait. The plan is to get close to Singapore so the terrorists can trigger the bomb, striking out against capitalism, but only after the Imam scams the money from Lloyd's for the insurance. Mohammed works his magic, gets the container on board and ties up all the loose ends, but the wife of the recently murdered dock manager initiates a police investigation in Thailand that fingers Mohammed, and the cops move in. Meanwhile, the supertanker is underway with the captain leading his team, and Jason and his cohorts descend and take over the vessel, putting together a list of demands for Lloyd's. But then Mohammed is arrested in Thailand, and the police look over the CCTV footage and discover the supertanker has a container on board, and the assumption is not all as it should be, and it seems that there could be explosive materials on board. Everybody saw what happened with the Timothy McVeigh story in the Oklahoma bombing, with 2 44-gallon drums full of diesel oil and a couple of bags of fertiliser, and it took out the side of the building. You can imagine what would happen with a supertanker that has 400,000 tonnes of processed oil on its way to India through the Malacca Straits. If that went off, it would certainly take out a whole city. So Lloyd's of London is brought in because of their money being on the line, and once the prospect of the floating bomb is realised, the others plead with Jason for his help. So far from being the piracy piracy guy, he's now has to confront the terrorists and figure out a way to stop that happening. So he doesn't have an option. He agrees, and with Han they form an alliance with the captain and they put together a plan. They create a gas using chemicals on the tanker, and they leave it in a container, killing the terrorists before they can actually trigger the bomb. In the interim, Sir James has mobilised special forces from Singapore to take down the pirates, and Jason and his team are trapped. Han is killed. Jason tries to contact the Imam, but the number doesn't work anymore, and he realises he's also been set up the whole time and is simply an expendable pawn in their game. So with no way out, he takes a suicide leap from the bow of the ship to allow his wife the insurance policy to pay for her operation. Meanwhile, Singapore Special Forces save the tanker just as it pulls alongside Singapore. However, the captain is the sleeper and has protected the cargo the whole way by running interference, and contacts the Imam to trigger the bomb. He calls out to Allah seconds before bomb triggers, revealing he was with the Imam all along, and the explosion fills the sky, wiping out Singapore and the second largest infidel money centre in Asia. That is the basic storyline. It's an exceptionally exciting screenplay. I can't wait to get it into film. So I hope that this gives an explanation as to why I'm trying to fund the creation of the book. Thank you for listening, and I hope it all goes well.